I'm a bit cocky. We are saying in this project we developed the world's foremost border region for electric and biomethane cars. And let's see if Mikael Hagman after me agrees or if he thinks that they are the best. But we represent the region in the blue dots, in the border region between Norway, who we know is the best EV country in the world, and West Sweden, who is the cradle of biomethane cars in Sweden. We have about 30,000 biomethane cars in Sweden. So we are the best for biomethane for cars. Norway is the best for EVs. Together we form the best border region in the world. It's always good to be number one in the world, isn't it? The project is very simple. Norway is our experts on electric vehicles. We are experts on biogas. We exchange information and we try to build infrastructure. But what I'm going to talk about today is, as you see from the title, it's more than just building and investing and different types of electricity and different types of charging posts. It's how do you get people on board? How do you get people to actually get the thing done? I'm going to show we've done quite a lot, but we as a project have done very little. It's the other people, the municipalities, the cities, the companies, the shopping malls, they've done the work. And that's the way I like it. You know, a catalyst in the chemical formula is something that speeds up a process without being destroyed. So after 2.5 years of project, I'm still here, I'm not destroyed, and I think we've sped up the development in West Sweden. This is the way it looks. The red dots, the orange dots are fast charging in Norway a couple of years ago. The green dots are biogas filling stations in Sweden. Norway has the grid for fast charging. Every 40 kilometers fast charger, perfect. Sweden has the grid for biomethane. Every 100 kilometers or whatsoever, it fits very well into the new directive on infrastructure from the European community. But there is no balance. There is lots of fast charging in Norway. There is very little in Sweden. So what we did, we set out the project and see how can we learn from each other. We want to share information, share freely. We want to communicate. We felt there was a need to communicate the different technologies, what is possible. And to test, of course, to work with public procurement. And the municipalities and cities, they are the key. Because they are the ones that have the possibility to be a little bit ahead of the commercial market. They don't have the same commercial reasons and they don't have to work in the same way and buying and trying new technologies. And on the political level, the municipalities, they have a target. They want to reach in Sweden 2030, we should have a transport sector without or independent of fossil fuels. Norway has the same target, roughly. What is important, when we saw this, we did what everybody should do. We devised a plan. I have a few of them with me for the Swedish audience. I'm afraid they are not in English. We devised a plan where we said, okay, it looks bad in Sweden. When it comes to electric infrastructure, this is where we should have the fast charging loading point, charging points. And when you do a map, people tend to follow that map. 80% of that map is now fulfilled. Not by us, we haven't invested the money for the infrastructure, for the fast chargers. It's done by other people, but when you do a map, people tend to look at it and follow it. So that is the most important page in that report. Then, of course, the report is very good, lots of background, but the map is the most important picture of them all. We looked on the technologies we have today. We said we want 40 kilometers between charges maximum, fast charges maximum. We want CHAdeMO and the European standard combo and 22 kilowatt AC charging. That's the minimum. Absolutely, we don't want anything else up there. And now we have updated this because it's becoming so interesting, the 400 volt, 32 amps charging, AC charging. Because that is becoming very, very interesting for the Swedish market. We have a very strong grid in Sweden, so the grid can take this charging. I have to ask you, How many of you have driven electric cars? Raise your hand. Yes, good. I was at the Swedish expert authority on energy. They had a meeting with all the people that had gotten money from them for different types of projects in Sweden. I asked the same question. Less than half had driven electric cars. That's shameful. If you run a project on electric cars, you need to test them. If you haven't tested a new technology, then you don't have it in here. You haven't felt it. You have to feel it to be able to talk in order to talk about it. How many of you have driven biogas cars or methane cars? Less. Try it. That's another technology that's very promising, that works very well up in this country. There are more than 50 million methane cars in the world. Of course, you should avoid natural gas and go towards biogas. The more, the better. And I think that is very important. People always say, well, do you want electric cars or biogas or ethanol or biodiesel? We say, yes, thank you. We're going to need all the different technologies in order to meet the 2030 targets. You don't have to choose between one good or the other. A municipality can go for, and most of you do. Cities can go for different technologies. We don't need to choose yet. And my best guess is that we're going to see most of the technologies we see today in 2030 and the years forward. So I think it's very important to be able to say, yes, we want both. No, you can't have both. Yes, we can have both. Because both are going to be needed. Otherwise, we corner ourselves in a problem where we don't have enough resources for one or the other. We need to combine all of them. Another question, does anybody in this room have a smartphone? Up with a hand. Have you tried a CD player at home? You know, do you remember the CD players at home where you played CDs? It was years ago. Now it's Spotify. Of course you have. The important thing, because when you talk about electric vehicles, and you meet the municipality or a city or the public, we forget that all the questions we get is the same questions we get with any new technology. You get questions like, oh, there are so few car models on the market. I don't want to try this. There are not enough models on the market. They're too expensive. This technology is dangerous if you have an accident. You cannot trust the technology. The driving distance too short, there are not enough filling stations. Have you heard any of this when it comes to electric vehicles? Have you all heard them? These are the questions we were faced with in 1996 forward when it came to biomethane cars. Exactly the same questions. We had 3 public fueling stations for biomethane in 1996 in Sweden. Now we have 120, 130, which doesn't sound a lot, but you don't need them to be that tight. They don't need to be that many filling stations. 180 kilometers, I had a BMW 518G, a biogas or a methane BMW. 180 kilometers, then I needed to refuel. So the first thing I did every time I sat in the car was looking at the meter and saying, how far, where is the next charge or the filling station? Exactly the same as EVs. So you can look at any new technology and you will get the same question. So we should not look at EVs as something very special. It's new technology. You need to teach people, you need to talk to people, otherwise it's not going to work. And like the title is, the bridge, the divide. We have attempts of building an infrastructure. We have a few car models on the market. We have political goals. There is interest for trying new technology, but how do you get these parts to mix? There is no golden bullet saying, oh, we do this and then we've sorted out the problem. And it goes for any technology that any of you want to try, whether it's hydrogen or methane or ethanol or whatever. When it comes to infrastructure, we have had some seed money in the project, not a lot. But the municipality in the West Coast, I mean, even if we can provide 2,000 euros as seed money, that means a difference. It doesn't pay for a charging station, but it's a support. Lots of education, training people, printing material, talking to people, having meeting after meeting after meeting. It takes a couple of meetings for people to be brave enough to put the stupid questions. There are no stupid questions. It surprised me that I've been working on environmental issues since 1984. It surprised me that all the basic questions are coming back again and again. But education, education, education. Talking, testing. You have driven electric cars. The municipalities needed to try electric cars. Develop guidelines, both for purchasing and how you set up a charging station, and guidelines for that. And when it comes to the cars, people need to try them. Events, testing the cars, exhibitions, inviting the car manufacturers, seminars, again, education, but trying and actually using the cars. And then on the municipal level, helping the municipalities with mobility strategies, where we say it's not about only EVs, it's about using your mobile phone, distance meeting, IT meetings, working from home. It's the whole spectrum of modern mobility. But our focus is EV. Electric vehicles is in a way the Trojan horse we use. Is anybody here from Greece? So I don't know if the Trojan horse is a good or a bad symbol for you, but you hide another question in what is perceived as electric vehicles. Then you talk about mobility. Because we want to bring the municipalities to be ready for 2030, where we are independent of fossil fuels. One mean to reach 2030 is electric vehicles that everybody likes to talk about today. But then we bring in biogas, ethanol, biodiesel, and so on and so on. And most important, IT meetings and stuff. Study visits going up to Norway is great. You see so much, and meetings again. One of the best things we did was we purchased or we leased 2 leaves, and we allowed every municipality to have them 1 month each to test, to try. But we said, you have to promise one thing. First, we want the political leaders of the municipality to use them for 1 week, because you have to start at the top. Then we want the technical department to use them, because they are the ones dealing with the practical issues. And then we want home services to have the 2 cars for 2 weeks, because they are probably the one going to use them the most. These are municipalities with not very large cities. And then they had to blog, write about it, and it's been so efficient. The leader of the political parties, they bought these cars, they go to meetings and they go out and say, here, I came in an electric car. It was like this. I'm just telling the stories. And it sounds like it's on a very basic level, but that's the way we are. When we try something, we like it, we talk about it. We become ambassadors. So it has been very, very important. Cheap. Hasn't cost us very much, good price for the cars, and the municipalities are so happy. And it brings other effects that I will tell you about afterwards. One of the most boring pictures that you would look the same if I took a picture of you now. It's not the most exciting picture, but having meetings, having workshops, not too long presentations, but talking, networking, it's so important. The first meeting is maybe more hesitant, and the third one, we've had several. But then the third one, the political powers from the different municipalities came. You could feel the power in the room because they woke up. And for the civil servants, that was necessary. So meetings, and you have to make them exciting. In the beginning, people don't want to come because it's just another meeting. But when they feel the excitement, then it works well. What we also do, this is what we call Le Mans. You know Le Mans, that's a racing competition. And they might sue us, but we call it Le Mans. And we collected, in this case, 18 electric vehicles with teams from companies, from municipalities, and they were competing, driving not fast, that's not what you compete with the electric cars, but driving efficiently. So when the flag